New York City, a place that never sleeps, a jungle of steel and glass where dreams are made and shattered. Detective Calloway had seen it all: the grime, the crime, the endless parade of human misery. 20 years on the force had hardened him, but it had also given him a keen sense of justice. He had stared into the abyss, and the abyss had stared back, seen the darkest corners of the human soul, places most people couldn't even imagine. But nothing could have prepared him for this. A young woman full of life and promise, barely out of her teens, her whole life ahead of her, left broken and brutalized in Central Park, a place meant for peace and relaxation. Her name was Emily Parker, a name that would haunt Calloway. Calloway knew this city could chew you up and spit you out. But this felt different. This felt personal, like a vendetta. He stood over the crime scene, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. The yellow tape fluttered in the wind, a grim ballet, a dance of death. The evidence technicians moved like ghosts, silent and efficient. Each flash of a camera bulb, a nail in the coffin of Calloway's hope, a reminder of the brutality he faced. He had a job to do, find the animal responsible. But something felt off, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. This wasn't just random violence. This was personal, a message perhaps, or a twisted game. John Parker, successful architect, loving father, now a man shattered by an unimaginable tragedy. His world lay in pieces at the foot of his daughter's hospital bed, a place he never imagined he would be. Emily, his everything, clinging to life by a thread, her future uncertain. The doctors spoke in hushed tones, their faces grave and full of concern. Words like critical and grave hung in the air. John didn't hear them. He only saw Emily, his precious daughter. Her face, once vibrant and full of life, now pale and bruised, a shadow of her former self. Tubes snaked from her body, each one a reminder of her fragile state. Each one a fresh stab to John's heart, a pain he could hardly bear. He sat by her side night and day, refusing to leave her alone for even a moment, whispering stories from her childhood, praying for a miracle, hoping against hope. But deep down, a rage was building, a fury that could not be contained, a primal need for justice, for revenge. Someone had to pay for this senseless act. John thought back to dropping Emily off at college, her bright smile, her excitement for the future, her dreams stolen, taken from her in an instant. His blood ran cold with the thought. He would find the monster who did this no matter what it took. He would make him pay. Justice would be served and Emily's suffering avenged. Calloway worked the case relentlessly. He chased every lead, every witness, every dead end. The pressure mounted, the city held its breath. But Calloway was a bloodhound. He could smell justice. He just hoped it wasn't already too late. Meanwhile, John Parker conducted his own investigation. He used his connections, his wealth, his grief-fueled determination. He scoured the city, a man possessed. He would find his daughter's attacker. He would have his revenge. Days turned into weeks. The trail ran cold for Calloway. The case was turning into another unsolved file, another statistic. But John Parker, he was closing in. He had a name, an address, and a cold, hard look in his eyes. Section 4. An Act of Retribution. A dilapidated building in the city's underbelly, the air thick with despair. John stood in the doorway, a gun heavy in his pocket. This was it, the moment of truth. Inside, a man cowered, a predator who preyed on the innocent. He had picked the wrong target. John's eyes were like ice. There would be no mercy. The gunshot echoed through the night, a final, desperate act. John walked away, his face a mask of grief and grim satisfaction. He had crossed a line, taken a life, But tonight, he could sleep. He had avenged his daughter. Calloway arrived at the scene. The sirens wailed, another life extinguished, but this time it felt different. He knew this wasn't just another homicide. This was personal. Section 5. The Weight of Justice. Calloway stood at the precipice of a moral chasm, a place where right and wrong blurred into shades of gray. He had spent his life upholding the law, dedicating every waking moment to justice. Now, he was faced with a father's desperate act, a situation that challenged his very beliefs. Was it justice or cold-blooded murder? The evidence was overwhelming, yet the truth felt elusive. John Parker had confessed, showed no remorse, his eyes cold and unyielding. Calloway knew he should feel satisfaction, a sense of accomplishment. He should feel like he had closed the book on a nightmare. But he didn't. He felt empty, hollow inside. He looked out over the city. A million stories, a million tragedies, each one a testament to human frailty. He had always believed in the law, in its power to bring order and justice. But what about the victims? What about Emily? Her innocent face haunted him. In the end, Calloway made his choice, a decision that would forever alter his path. He manipulated the evidence, made it look like self-defense. John Parker walked free, a man unburdened by guilt. Calloway knew he had betrayed his badge, the very symbol of his life's work. But he had also honored a father's love, a love that transcended the boundaries of law and justice.